guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday and it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, first of all, I'm sorry I'm not filming this in kind of the normal studio. This has been a manic week for me. I was on tour for 2.5 weeks with Ryan and Killian. Then I went straight to Magic Live. I literally got in to Columbus after an internal flight from Magic Live last night about 1 o'clock in the morning. It's now 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm about to go over to Penguin to start filming a bunch of projects, and I wanted to make sure I filmed the Q&A first, else it's not going to be done. And I promise you guys, I always make sure I put the videos up that I say I'm going to do, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. So the Q&A is going to be in a bit of a different location. This is my hotel room in Columbus, but I'm still going to answer all your questions. Now, if you've never seen a Q&A before, the idea is simple. I'm just going to literally take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and answer them. Now, I haven't looked at these questions at all. I've literally just logged on my laptop, so you're getting my raw, unfiltered opinions. If I think that a question would make a good longer video, I will do that for you and I'll let you know. Also, one thing to note is normally you want to try and get these questions in by a Monday at the latest. I typically film these on Tuesday or a Wednesday. I'm actually filming this on Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning, Columbus time, which I think is about 1 o'clock in the UK. So, you know, it's a little bit different this week, but normally you want to try and get them in as quickly as you can. Very quickly, to anybody who saw me over in Magic Live and anybody who hung out with me, it was great seeing you. Thank you very much for coming over to the Penguin booth. Thanks very much for hanging out in the bar. I will be doing a video soon about Magic Live, so look out for that. But for everyone who I met, thank you, hi, and yeah, I hope I'll see you again. But with that all being said, it's time to get into the Q&A. So, without further ado, let's go on to this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Dango the Magic, who says, I'm getting married in October, congratulations. And I want to do a themed trick for my new wife to show her how much I love her. Do you have any suggestions for a close-up effect that you can do, that I can do as a surprise for her? Okay, so there's a few things to think of here. The first of all is, are you going to be doing it in a close-up sort of situation after the wedding, sort of with just a few people around, or are you going to be doing it as part of your kind of speech and you're going to be doing a trick as part of that to a bunch of people? Because whether you're performing it close-up or stage would impact what it is that you're going to be doing. The other thing that I would say is being careful with this sort of thing. I've mentioned this before on the Q&A, but you know, I wouldn't do this myself personally because as much as I love magic, I don't want it to kind of overshadow the love for my wife, if that kind of makes sense. I want it to be all about my feelings for her. I totally get where you're coming from and it makes sense, but I would be careful about doing that. I'd maybe even speak to your fiance and say, hey, I'm planning on doing this in the wedding. Would that be cool with you? I'm not going to tell you what exactly, but what are your thoughts on this? I know with my wife, for example, if I'd have done that, well, we didn't have a normal wedding. We kind of eloped over to Vegas. But if we had had a normal wedding and I'd have done this, I think she would have killed me. But, you know, different people are different. Your fiance might think this is the coolest thing in the world. Mine definitely wasn't. So just be careful about that sort of thing. Now, in terms of tricks that you do, the ones that come instantly to mind are things like anniversary waltz, are things like The One by Matthew Underhill and World Magic Shop. Anything that has that kind of romantic feel to it, you know, two cards coming together into one, that sort of thing, that always works really well. To be honest, any wedding trick, any trick that you would do as a wedding magician to give as a souvenir away is good. But what I would say is if this is for your wife and this is a one-off thing, you can go to lengths that you wouldn't normally do. You can go, because what I mean is, like, the reason anniversary waltz works so well when you're performing at weddings is it's cheap to get a pack of double-faced cards. So you can do it over and over again. It's not going to cost you much money. If you're doing this for your wife as a one-off performance, never before, never again, you can kind of go the extra mile on this. So, for example, getting an Omni deck and having it engraved with your name and your wife's name and the anniversary date would be, the wedding date would be quite cool. That would work really well. And sort of doing a card routine where you and her hold your hands together and the deck turns into a glass block, maybe with a bit of smoke from a smoke device, and then the wedding date and your names are engraved on there. That'd be a really cool way to go with that. Another really cool way to go would be if you, obviously you're going to have bottles of wine or you can have bottles of alcohol on the tables throughout the wedding, right? Another cool way to do would be to have someone pick a card and have them sign, have your fiance pick a card, have your fiance sign it with your name, her name, and the date of the wedding, have it lost in the pack, and then have it vanish or do whatever you want to do, and then take one of the bottles of wine off the table and say watch, and rub the label, and as the label is rubbed, it changes from whatever the wine is to a special custom one-off label with the your name and her name and the wedding date on there, and then taking it and snapping your fingers or whatever, and now inside the bottle is the card with your name and her name on it. Now, that's not a very difficult thing to do. Etienne Prader has what I think is probably the best way to actually get a card inside a sealed wine bottle, which I believe he used in his Fissamax, and it's a DVD he bought out many years ago. And in terms of changing the label bottle, you obviously know how that works. There's a million different ways you can do that. But something like that, where it takes a lot of prep, it's something that you wouldn't normally do for a wedding client, that's probably the way that I would go with that. So there's a couple of options, but regardless, congratulations, and I hope your wedding goes really well. Okay, so the next question is from David Blaine, who says, how do you figure out what you're going to get paid? You are at Alakazam, Penguin, etc. Do they pay you to film those tutorials, or do you get a split after the effect is sold, and do you get a percentage? Always wondered how they pay you guys since you're always traveling. Thanks. Different companies work in different ways. I mean, different companies work in different ways. I work with a lot of different companies. Alakazam, for example, typically will do a buyout. So what that means is they will pay you X amount, and they will own the rights to that trick. So they'll pay you once, and they'll pay you one time, and they will own the rights to that trick. They will pay your expenses to get it all filmed. So if you need to go to Alakazam, they'll put you up in a hotel, they'll pay your travel and any expenses that you've got. But in terms of the payment for the effect, it's a one-off payment, and normally they'll give you some stock to sell as well. That will be part of the deal, and each individual person is on a different deal, and that typically is the way that it works. Penguin are on a royalty scheme, so they pay you per item that's sold, so they don't pay you anything up front, but when they start selling it, you get a percentage of what they have made. So it's in your interest to make it as popular as possible, because the more they sell, the more that you will sell. You also have Murphys that work the same way. So with Murphys, they typically pay you on a royalty scheme as well. 1914 pay on a royalty scheme. TCC pay on a royalty scheme. It very much depends on the company that you're working with, to be perfectly honest, but it depends. So that's why when you're releasing a trick and you think you've got a good trick that you want to release, you want to kind of think through. It's not just a case of I want somebody to produce it. It's a case of, right, I want somebody to produce this trick. I need to find the best possible company that I can to produce that for me, and there's a lot of things to be taken into consideration, and I've done videos on this. I'll probably do more in the future, but in terms of how you get paid, it's on a deal by deal basis, it's on a company by company basis. But typically Alakazam do a buyout. They're not the only ones, there's others that do a buyout as well. I know Vanishing Ink, they did a buyout. I haven't really worked with them on a physical product, but I have obviously worked with them on a masterclass, and that was a one-off payment. But I know, and I was going to do a physical product with Vanishing Ink. I never did, but the deal was to have a buyout if I had have done that. But I know that they do percentage deals as well. So it's kind of negotiating with the company that you're working with, if that kind of makes sense. Okay, we've got another question from David Blaine, who says, how do you have time for family and household errands? Poor wife. I just make time. One thing I'm quite good at is time management and knowing what I need to do and just being organized. Look, here's the thing. I'm not organized at all. Anybody that knows me will tell you that I'm probably the most disorganized person on the planet. I'm very, very, very disorganized. But what I am good at is I'm good at organising myself when I have to. So for example, I'm over here in Columbus at the moment. I'm just about to start filming some projects. I've got 10 projects that I need to film while I'm over here. They're not all mine. I'm hosting a bunch of other projects for a bunch of other creators, but there's 10 that I need to do. And I've got about 5 or 6 days to do it in. So I need to be very, very organised. Between those 10 products, there's probably around about 150 tricks that I'm going to have to teach and perform. So I have to be really, really organised. I've got copious notes everywhere. And the reason I've got all these notes is because I need to have those notes in order to be organised and know what I'm doing. But it's the same with life management. It's the same with knowing where I'm going and what I'm doing. I'm just very, very organised with it. And I try to make sure that I've always got time for my family, because my family is like the most important thing. So this summer especially has been insane, with Rylan being on tour, me being in America. Rylan is performing down in London. We've got a bunch of stuff on in the office in terms of we're training new recruits at the moment, and there's just a bunch of stuff going on. But we've made sure that, you know, we're taking a week off. We've got a week holiday at the end of the summer. And, you know, I make sure that I have plenty of time with my family, and I have plenty of time to do the chores, because I wouldn't get my wife to do everything. She runs the companies. You know, she's the managing director of Slightly Unusual, of Nonstop Kids, Magic TV. So she does all of that sort of stuff. So I can focus on what I'm best at. So it wouldn't be fair for my wife to do absolutely everything. But yeah, we make it work. I think you've got to. I think that, you know, I like being busy. I like working hard. Anybody that knows me will tell you that. But I'm just pretty good at organising my time management. I'm terrible at organising me. Anybody will tell you every time I leave the house, I've lost my keys. I'll probably spend 15 minutes trying to find my keys. Then I've lost my phone. But in terms of managing my time, I'm pretty good at time management. And I think you have to when you're running a business. I think the most important thing that you've got is your time, and you need to make sure that you're looking after it. Okay, so the next question is again from David Blaine. Lots of questions from David Blaine today. And the first one is, are you going to do a Hows and Whys of the Svengali since you had a project? No, I'm not going to do a Hows and Whys of Svengali. There's certain things that I do Hows and Whys on, there's certain things I don't. I'm not going to do a Hows and Whys on the Svengali because it would take too long. I am, however, doing a project on the Svengali deck, which has been the most requested project of the lot. If you actually think about it, the first one I did, I think, was Visible. So I did the Visible project first of all on the Invisible deck, which was really popular. And then off the back of that, I did the Beyond Stebbins project. Then I did Cheeky, the Cheek to Cheek project. And then I did Forecast, the project on the Memorized deck. Then I think it was Mirage was the next one, wasn't it? I did Mirage, which came out earlier this year. But over and over and over again, people ask me about the same thing, which is, when are you going to do a project on the Svengali deck? And it's coming, and it's coming very soon. It's being done through Alakazam, and it's almost finished. Well, I say it's almost finished. I've done everything from my point of view. So I spent about 3 weeks going out, getting live performances. The trailer, the tutorial is about 6 hours long, because there is a lot of content on this project. There's a lot of stuff on there. It's not just me on there. I've got a couple of special guests as well. And Nemid Phoenix does a lot of the editing for a lot of my projects for Alakazam. And he shared with me the other day the first draft of the trailer, and it looks amazing. You know, when you've got people in a corporate environment running and screaming and running away for a Svengali deck, you know that that's good. And my goal with this is to show people that the Svengali deck is not a toy that you get when you first get into Magic and then put in your bottom drawer, but it's something that you can use in a professional environment. And it was really important to me when we said we're going to do this Svengali project, that we got a ton of live performance footage from literally every single type of gig, including big corporate events and restaurants and bars and nightclubs, literally everywhere, because I wanted people to see the reactions you can get with a Svengali deck. And yeah, I don't know when it's coming out. That's Alakazam's call, but I know that he Nemid, has finished the tutorial, he's finished the trailer. And I know Alakazam, I think what's holding it up, or what might hold it up, is Alakazam don't just want to buy in decks of Svengali decks. They're going to have them custom made, so they are absolutely perfect like butter. But that's an Alakazam question. I imagine it'll be out before the end of the year. But, you know, check with Alakazam, they'll know for sure. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Putt. Nice to see you asking questions on the channel again, Andy. Hope you're well. And his first question is, Not really a question. If you ever ever think that this channel doesn't belong in the world, then here is what it's helped me with. The last few months, I've asked you some questions about magic with music, magic while performing, making magic personal, etc. Last Saturday, I finally proposed to my girlfriend, who I've been with almost 10 years. And after 1 year, 9 months of creating a magic routine, and this channel also helped me with the little big tips or tricks and simply giving answers to the questions. You told me you wouldn't do magic in a proposal to my fiance. Yes, I can finally say that. Congratulations, man. Who didn't expect this proposal? And this is such an Andy way. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart, Craig, and all the other magicians. Yes, there are partners for magicians. That isn't a myth. First of all, thank you for the kind words. Genuinely, it is a lot of hard work putting this channel together. I'm sitting here filming a Q&A after having about 5 hours sleep last night. I'm about to do a full day in the studio and then perform all evening around Columbus getting live performances. And I'm sitting here doing this video, and it's stuff like this that's like makes me think sometimes, God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? So when I hear stuff like this, it really means the world to me. It really does. So Andy, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And congratulations on becoming engaged. That's amazing, dude. Seriously, congratulations. Okay, question number 2, Jupiter review. He's just put Jupiter review from Andy Purtis just said Jupiter review. Yeah, it's coming soon. I've had Jupiter since Blackpool, and I've been playing around with it, and I very much like it. And I was chatting to Thomas at Magic Live. I just haven't had time to do the review. That's the problem. I want to do kind of a review show special on it. So I will get to it. I promise you I will get to it. It's probably going to be end of August now because, as you heard earlier on, I'm literally running around the country. But if you want a quick kind of TDLR, it's great. It's awesome. It's very, very clever. Okay, so the next question, number 3, third question from Andy Put is, what's your favorite reveal that you use with Cubebuster? And honestly, it's the card reveal. It's the 8 of Hearts. We've got, me and Ryan between us, we've got 3 Cubebusters, and he uses them for different things, and I use them for one thing. I use Cubebuster just for the card revelation because it just works as a performance. I think having somebody pick a card, say we'll get back to that later, solving the big cube, and then boom. I love Cubebuster. I don't think I've mentioned enough how much I love Cubebuster. It's just a great way to follow up a cube routine, because you know as well as me, you do cube magic, you need to follow up. If you're going to follow up, bringing out a 3x3 after you've done a bunch of stuff with a 3x3 is not really, you know, elevating your performance. It's not really taking it to the next level. But then you bring out a 7x7, it absolutely for sure is. So yeah, Cubebuster is amazing. It's really, really good, and it's just the card reveal that I tend to use for it. Although Ryland's got a really, I tell you, William from Malta, who's an incredible Maltese magician, OMG Magic, check him out, OMG Magic, really incredible magician. He's got a really wonderful routine that he did with the Cubebuster as part of his Bear Pit act at Blackpool, and he's got a Pac-Man on it, which is really cool because he's got this whole act themed to retro games, so that just works, right? Pac-Man works really well. Ryland's got a really cool thing that I think he's going to put on his socials at some point. It's not my place to tell people what he does, but when he showed me, I was like, dude, that's really clever, and that's really you, and that just makes sense. And it links to the Harry Potter act that he does. So I'll let you, I'll tell you more about that when Ryland is ready to share it. But yeah, that's really cool as well. But yeah, I just use it for a card reveal. Okay, another question from Andy Putt, who says, I bought the Destination box by John Allen, and it is awesome. But when I saw the method, I felt really stupid. Do you still have that feeling sometimes when you buy a new trick and that left you bamboozled? Not really, not really, because I don't really care about the method really too much. I know, look, I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to say because obviously we're magicians, right? Method is everything. You know, we're not really doing magic. We can't really just like turn water into wine and walk across water. There's obviously a method to it. But for me, the most important thing is the effect on the audience. And the method is secondary because I always know I'm going to be able to work out a way to do whatever it is that I want to do. So when I buy a new trick, sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes I'll feel underwhelmed. I'll buy a trick and I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be really good. And when I buy it, I'm just like, well, okay, this sucks. And if you've ever seen my review show, you'll know that, I'll buy something, I'll spend 100 quid and it's absolute trash. I'll be really pissed off about it. That happens more than I would care about. But that's just because I like the idea behind the trick. I think it could be really good. And I'm disappointed that the thing that they've put out doesn't do what I wanted it to do, or doesn't do what they promised it would do. But in terms of buying a trick and the method works, and it's not a method that I considered, I don't really care about that, because as long as it works, that's the most important thing. Because it's the effect on the audience. It's the effect on the audience. Okay, so the next question is from MCK Magic, who says, "Hi Craig, quick question. What do you do in kids shows to handle elves on stage? For anyone unaware, the acronym ELF stands for Evil Little Fucker. I personally have never encountered an elf. I've only done kids gigs since May, so I should say not yet, but I'm preparing for when I will." This is a very big topic that I'm not going to be able to cover completely right now. But the thing is, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's no such thing as naughty kids. There are such things as naughty kids. However, a lot of the time, the kids that we consider elves, they're really just wanting to be the center of attention. And if you can get them to be part of the show, they will become your biggest ally in the show. So one way to do that is during the warm-up, you ask the question, "Hey, who here would like to come up and help me?" Put your hand in the air if you'd like to come up and help. Now, when you ask that question, a few things are going to happen. You're going to get some kids that are not going to put their hand up. That's fine, they're shy. You're going to have some kids that put their hand up normally, and you're going to have maybe one or two kids in the audience that put their hand up so high, so fast, that it looks like their arm has come out of their socket. They're the kids that could potentially be elves, because they want to be the center of attention. They want to be recognized. Now, if you recognize them, they could be your biggest ally, and they will not disrupt the show. So, and there's a few ways to recognize them. You don't necessarily need to bring them up on stage if you don't want to. But you could, for example, ask a question, right? Who here's got a magic word? They will put their hand up. And you look at them directly in the eye and you say, "What's your magic word?" And they say abracadabra. And you go, "Abracadabra, what's your name?" "John." "John, that is the best magic word ever. John, you're awesome." Everyone give John a big round of applause. "John, thank you so much." Now he feels recognized. Now he feels like he's part of the show. It could be that you're delivering a piece of dialogue and you're looking directly in the eyes to one of the kids that you're talking about. And to the rest of the audience, it looks like you're just looking at the audience, but to them, it feels like you're talking directly to them. It could be that you bring them up on stage, but bringing them into the show really kind of makes them feel part of the show, and then they don't play up. A lot of the time, the elves that a lot of people are talking about are older kids. That happens an awful lot. Like, let's say you've got a 6th birthday party, but there's a 10 or an 11-year-old there that's forced to be there because they're the brother of the birthday kid. They're somebody who could be potentially a bit of a pain in the butt because they want to disrupt the show. And if that happens, the younger kids who are looking up to them could potentially follow suit. So the way to deal with that is to go up to this obviously older kid and say, "Hey, dude, this show is not for you. This show is for the little kids. But if you could help me by just making sure that you keep an eye on the kids in the audience, make sure they're really well behaved, or if you could do that for me, what I'll do is I will teach you how to do an amazing trick at the end of it, because I can do some magic that you will love, and I do a couple of coin vanishes and I do a jumbo coin production. And what I'll do is afterwards, I'll teach you, when they're all having food, I'll teach you a really cool trick that you can show your mates. Is that okay? Yeah, brilliant. I'll teach them jumping rubber band or something. But getting them on side is really important, because then not only will they not play up, but they'll almost police the audience for you on your behalf. And it's about treating them with respect and acknowledging that this is not for them, but you're going to do something specifically for them, if that kind of makes sense. And what I'm talking about here basically is putting things in place so that you're not having to deal with issues during the show, kind of dealing with the issue before the issue even begins. Now, in terms of elves, in terms of if you've done all that and you still have somebody, it can happen, and if it does, you just need to deal with it. And part of it is putting in the contract beforehand with the client that you are not a babysitter. It is your responsibility to to entertain the audience. It's your responsibility to be the entertainer, not the babysitter, not the school teacher, not the disciplinarian. And it's really important that the client understands that, and that's in the contract. So that if you have somebody who's playing up in the audience, you go, whoa, 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 whoa. Remember, because in the warm-up, I talk about sitting down, I talk about being well-behaved. So it allows me, if something happens, to go, whoa, 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 don't forget, you got to pay, you got to stay sat down. If you don't stay sat down, then, you know, you do that a couple of times, then maybe, you know, if there's one kid that's jumping up or doing something, you say, buddy, you got to sit down. If you don't sit down, I'm not going to be able to carry on with the show. You got to stay sat down. And you do that 2 or 3 times. If it gets bad, and I've only had to do like this 2 or 3 times in my entire career, you have to stop the show, and you have to go over to, guys, just wait there 1 minute, I'll be back in a second. You go over to the client and you say, hey, I've got this child being really disruptive. Could you organise for their parents to sit with them, or just make sure that their behaviour's being managed, please? Now, in the entire 30 years that I've been performing, I've probably had to do that 3 times. But it's never been an issue because I've covered it with the client beforehand, because it's in the terms and conditions. And normally, if something like that does happen, they step in beforehand because they know it's in the contract, right? So there's a lot there. I could talk about this forever, to be perfectly honest, but hopefully that gives you some food for thought. Okay, so the next question is from Mystery Man, who says, hey Craig, are you still going to do a video on middle of tricks for close-up? The answer is yes. I'm very, very busy at the moment, as I said at the beginning of this video. I batched a bunch of videos before I went away, and I know I'm going to have to batch a bunch more before I go back on tour with Ryan and Gillian. So I'm just trying my absolute best to make sure that all the content that I'm supposed to put out is actually put out. And something like that is a longer video. You know, that's something that's probably going to be a 1-hour video, and I have to put a lot of thought into it. And at the moment, I'm trying to make it so that I have time to be able to do this stuff. What I don't want to do is not have these videos go up. But yes, I will get to it, I promise. It's just I need my schedule to drop and relax slightly and be able to do a video like that. Okay, so the next question is from Sean Francis Magic, who says, hi Craig, hope you're doing well with the hectic schedule you've had lately. Yeah, thank you, buddy, appreciate that. My question this week involves taking a parlour or a stage act into a theatre. I'm not looking for new tricks or anything, but rather what sort of production notes for a stage crew would help elevate the magic I'm already doing. Thinking about playing around with sound cues and lighting, and if there's other factors I haven't considered. I usually perform in clubs and small venues where I am one of many acts, so I don't have the luxury of personalizing settings for myself. As I'm starting to move into theatres, I'm looking for ways to up the production value. Any advice would be helpful, thanks a million. My biggest piece of advice for this is get a professional. If you've got no experience with sound cues, if you've got no experience with lighting, get a professional to help you. So on Ryland and Killian's tour, the people working backstage and making everything happen are Matt. You all know Matt, who's obviously got a lot of experience in theatres, and also Reese Morgan from Morgan and West, who's now retired from performing and is doing sound and light and show production and a whole bunch of stuff. And he's actually working on the tour with Ryland and Killian doing the sound and light. And he's absolutely phenomenal at that, as you would imagine, with years of experience. And Reese and Matt will get to the theatre 3 or 4 hours before the Ryland and Killian get in, and they will be spending that entire time setting the sound and setting the lighting for that particular theatre. And they've plotted the lighting. Reese has plotted the lighting and plotted the sound, and he has everything up in QLabs and everything, but it obviously changes from theatre to theatre. And, you know, watching their show and seeing how the lighting can elevate it to a next level just shows how important it is working with a professional. And I've actually spoken to Reese about taking Ryland's Harry Potter act and lighting it professionally and lighting every individual moment and having that saved. So when we go into a theatre, we've already got the track, obviously. We say, here's the track for the Harry Potter act. We can also say, here's the lighting cues for the Harry Potter act. Just do this and it's going to be lit absolutely perfectly. Working with a professional, yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's going to be so much better and really important when you're doing stuff like thread work. Because with thread work, it needs to be lit in a way that people can see where you don't want to just be in darkness, but also it needs to be able to hide the thread. There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration. So I would suggest working with a professional and paying a professional to plot all this stuff out for you, because then you can go into any theatre and you can say, here's the lighting cues, here's the sound cues, this is everything that you need. And a lot of times a theatre would load it up into QLab or whatever, and then they've got it and it's good to go, and you can just do a run through with it as part of the tech rehearsal, and then you're good to go. So yeah, you can do it yourself, but this is one of the things that, unless you've got a lot of expertise, I would suggest you get somebody to help you do it. Okay, so the next question is from 1581 Davis. Hey, how you doing, buddy? What's the question? Hello, Craig, and thanks for all you do for our community. You're more than welcome. Now for the question. In your opinion on a device for an ambitious card routine that I can put in the hand of the spectator, products similar to Mystery Solved, if moved by the spectator, don't work. I'm looking for a Mercury fold type gimmick. Okay, I'm not really fully understanding what you mean here. Now for my question. And your opinion on a device for an ambitious card routine that I can put in the hand of a spectator, products similar to Mystery Solved, if moved by the spectator, don't work. So you're looking to have a card go into a box, and you want to be able to have that in the hand of the spectator. I think that's what you mean, right? Okay, well, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. The first is the Kennedy mystery box. I mean, that is perfect for what you're looking for, because it sits there. If they took the lid off, they would still see a card in there, but when you tip it out, obviously it's going to be vanished. So that would be perfect. The clear boxes I don't think would work as well, but that mystery box would work fine. Tommy Wonder's card in box would also work really well. That's something that I've used for years in my show. That would work perfectly, the Tommy Wonder mystery box. Trying to think. Those really, I mean, there's thousands of different mystery boxes. There's thousands of different ways of getting a card folded up and put into an object. I will tell you, and this is kind of promoting something I'm involved with, but the best way of doing this is coming later this year. So I'm having the pleasure of working with Chris James on a product that he's developing with Joel Miranda. And they're working on a thing, and I've been involved with this both in terms of helping with everything, but also routining and so on and so forth. And it is probably the best way I've ever seen to do a folded up card in box, because it's not a box. It can be held by the spectator. It looks like something else. It has a different function to it, so they don't think it's going to have anything to do with the card going in there, but at the end the card does go in there. I'm sorry to be vague, but I've been working with this thing now for a few months, and having seen the reactions that I'm getting from it, this is absolutely the best thing that you can possibly get to do what you want to do. So look out for that. It's coming from John Miranda and Chris James. But in terms of what's on the market right now, I'd say the Tommy Wonder ring box or the traditional mystery box from Kennedy's mystery box. Okay, so the next question is again from 1581 Davis, and there's two questions here which I can bunch into one. When can we expect the review show on the best oil and waters? It's coming soon. It really is. Again, unfortunately, my schedule has meant that I've had to push a few videos back, but it is coming, I promise. And last but not least, when is your treatment of Gary Jones's effect, mine and yours, going to be on the Netrix? Again, hopefully it'll be the next upload. Again, I've had to push a few things back because of my schedule, but it should be the next upload. So everything's coming soon. Things will get back to normal in September. It's been a bit manic over August, but things are getting back to normal, and I'll have more time to do all of these videos. Okay, so the next question is from Jean-Luc Gagnier, who says, "Hi Craig, I do magic now in comedy clubs. I have a 5 to 7 minute, sometimes 3 minutes for an internet show in Quebec, Le Gong show, stand-up comedy show. And it's in 1 month. I've got to go there. I've got a subject, I do a joke, then I do magic. 3 minutes is not a lot. Advice please on doing it in not much time, thanks." So you've got a 3 minute stand-up spot at a comedy club, and you've got to do magic and comedy, and it's going to be in 3 minutes. What do you do? Well, something where there's not a very long Again, comedy is subjective, isn't it? You know, I could stand here and say, well, you could pre-show a member of the audience to name the three of to name the. You could pre-show an audience member to name the three of spades, and you could do the missing spade on stage. So you could come out and say, hey, blah, 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 my name's Craig, I'm a magician, I'm also a comedian. We're going to start with magic. Name a card for me, sir. Three of spades, wonderful. I've got this prediction here. If this had the three of spades, would that be good? It's the two of spades. Oh, it's missing a spade. Well, don't worry, I've got that. Boom, there's the spade. Thank you very much. That's a funny routine, but it might not be funny for you. I don't know what style of comedian you are. That is a comedy magic type trick, but it might not be how you present your comedy. So the first thing, I imagine, if it's a comedy club, I think the first thing that you would have to do is you would have to think about your character and the type of comedy that you do. And then I would suggest finding something very quick that would fit within that kind of brand, if that makes sense. I would be looking at very quick, very visual tricks and looking at ways to make them funny. I saw a clip recently, it went viral, of I've had a mental blank, it's still early in the morning. Ben, oh my God, I can't remember his surname, and I feel terrible about this because he's a friend of mine. But incredible close-up magician, incredible magician in general, who got brought up in a stand-up comedy set. And I saw this clip, and he came up and he got pulled up out of the audience when he said he was a magician. And he said, hey, come up and do a trick. Now, Ben obviously knew that he didn't have much time. He had to do something quick, but it also had to be very funny. And he got the guy to pick a card, and he said that these cards are going to help you decide what your personality type is. And they were all different. And the guy picked one, and it said on there, you are a cock, or something like that. In the context of that performance, that worked brilliantly. Was it he was up there for a minute and a half. He did this routine that brought the house down. It was really funny, and it worked awesomely. And it's not the best trick in the world, let's be honest. It's not the best trick. But in the context of that performance, he couldn't have done anything better. He could have floated up into the air, exploded in a burst of confetti, and appeared at the back of the room, and it wouldn't have been as good as what he did in that moment with that whole, you are a cock, or whatever it was. So I suppose the most important thing is think about effects that can be very, very quick, but not only effects that can be really, really quick, but stuff that fits within your particular genre of comedy. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you. But if you Google search quick revelations, it could be a quick card revelation, because getting someone to pick a card can be really quick. Quick card revelations for stage, there's a whole bunch of them like that. I remember me and Ryan reviewing a trick ages ago on the review show, where it was like this big card, and it was a comedy reveal that kept opening up and opening up and opening up, and it ended up with their playing card. I did that. Ryan's got it at the moment, but I did that on shows for ages, and it got a great reaction because it fit into the style of comedy that I did, and it was only like 2 minutes long. What will fit into your comedy? You could do Vanishing Bottle in 2 or 3 minutes, which is quite a funny bit. Now that works for me perfectly, but it might not work for you. So I think work backwards. First of all, figure out the type of performer you are, what type of comedy you do, and then look for really quick effects that you can fit within that. Okay, so the next question is from Bins Brian, who says, hi Craig, you made me laugh last week. You're the only one who can take the comment, you're overhyped and overrated, as a compliment. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. It's true though, isn't it? If I'm overrated and I'm overhyped, that means that there's a level of hype for every trick I bring out, and I'm rated by the majority of the magic audience. In order for one person, and that's who we're talking about here, we're talking about one guy, in order for one person to say I'm overrated, it means that almost everyone else rates me. Because if everyone else was like, oh, Craig Peck is absolute trash, then he wouldn't call me overrated. He would agree with the general consensus of opinion. The fact that he thinks I'm overrated, it means that he is in the minority. And I think that's something that we need to remember sometimes. When there's people who don't necessarily like what you do, they disagree with you, maybe you've got people online that are moaning about you or slagging you off, whatever it is, you just need to remember that they're in the minority. They are absolutely in the minority. You are overrated. Great. So in other words, the entire community rates me. Your tricks are overhyped. Brilliant. So in other words, everybody's excited about when my stuff comes out. There's two ways to look at something. You can look at it as a positive or a negative. And I'm trying very much these days to look at things as a positive. It doesn't always work out, as you'll find out in a few videos' time. But, you know, I'm trying my best. So, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so the next question is from Frankini the Great, who says, here's my question for next week's show. What are your thoughts on this? When you buy a magic trick and you end up not liking it, do you have the right to make a review warning other magicians, buyer beware type thing? I've experienced so many creators that have very poor customer service and get very salty online when someone doesn't like their effect. Here is my question. How do we break the mold for creators? I feel like so many are surrounded by yes men, and when they get an honest review, they accuse the customers of lying and turning it on the customer. If you're not happy with the product you bought, you have the right to rant about it. So many creators have quality control issues with their cheaply made products, and it seems like so many people just blow smoke up their ass. This is a huge problem in the magic community. Cheaply made props, short, half-arsed instruction videos. It seems like the honest reviews are attacked by the creators, and the yes men contribute to blow smoke for the creators saying it's great. It's not great, it sucks, and I have every right to say that. And I shouldn't be cast out for the opinion. The magic community is delusional and toxic. A lot of these magic props do not work in the real world. What's your thoughts? You have every right to your opinion, man. You have every right to your opinion. But what you don't have the right to do is speak for the entire magic community. You know, making questions like saying stuff like the magic community is delusional, the magic community is toxic. You know, people attack the yes men contribute to blood. You know, you can't speak for everybody else. You know, just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it doesn't have value for somebody else. Yes, it could be the worst trick in the world and you hate it, but that's just your opinion. You can't speak for the rest of the magic community. I can't speak for the rest of the magic community. No one can speak for the rest of the magic community. And I have done many, many reviews where I've been very vocal about how bad something is. But I'm always very clear. And I always say, that's only my opinion. I've also been a creator where I have experienced a bad review. And a lot of the time, if I've had a bad review, I'm cool with it. I'm not always. In the past, like Luke Dancy made some comments about the quantum deck way back in the day, and I called him out on it because what he was saying was fabricated bullshit, and I could prove it. If somebody doesn't like my product just because they don't like it, they've bought it, that's fine. Not everybody could. If everybody in this industry liked everything, it would be a really boring place. We'd all do exactly the same tricks. You know, I talked earlier on about the Svengali deck, the amount of magicians that I've spoken to that have said to me, I wouldn't do a Svengali deck in a professional gig to save my life. Well, that's fine. That's their opinion. And they're not wrong. They're entitled to their opinion. My opinion is the Svengali deck is one of the greatest tools of the modern era. And you can go into a gig and you can absolutely kill with it. We've both got differing opinions, and that's fine. I remember on the Wizard product review, me and Dave absolutely trashing a trick. And it was like a production of a fake-ass looking bird, and it was terrible, and we took the piss out of it on the Wizard product review. We said it was one of the worst tricks in the world. Well, guess what? Fast forward about 4 years, that exact same prop was being used by an act on Britain's Got Talent to get through to the semi-finals of Britain's Got Talent. They used that prop. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Just because you think something's bad, and I had to learn this the hard way. I was with you many, many years ago on the Wizard product review, but I had to learn this the hard way, which is, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I could go out and like a particular trick, and you could hate a particular trick. You know, I did Magic Live, and we sold out of Magic Button. I was demonstrating Magic Button. We sold out in like 2 days. We took like hundreds of them. We sold out of them. Amazing. And, you know, I had people coming up to me going, you know, I love Magic Button. Magic Belay, before we even started demonstrating, he was running around the bar performing Magic Button to everybody. It's one of his favorite tricks, right? And he's a real worker. But I had someone come up to the booth and he was like, I bought Magic Button, I hate it, it's trash. Cool, brilliant. That's your opinion. He didn't like it. He did it. He tried it. He didn't like it. It didn't work for him. Cool, no problem. He didn't like certain aspects of it, and that's fine. That's his opinion. I couldn't argue with him on that. I was just like, well, I'm really sorry, man. You can't like everything. I've bought tricks from people that I haven't liked. I'm so sorry about that. But that's the point that I'm trying to make. You are absolutely entitled to your opinion. You are absolutely 100% entitled to your opinion. And you are right in many ways. You are right in that there are shittily made products that come out in the magic community. There is stuff that like one thing that drives me up the wall is short-ass tutorials. People take the piss out of me and go, oh, here comes Craig with another 6-hour tutorial. But I'd rather do a long tutorial and show that I've worked this in rather than do a 5-minute thing that doesn't really barely scratch the surface, right? So you're right in that respect. But you can't speak for the whole of the magic community. I can't speak for the whole of the magic community. I don't think it's fair saying that the entire community is toxic, the entire community is delusional, and that these creators are surrounded by yes men. That's not always necessarily the case. They might genuinely like that trick that you don't like. So you're saying that if you see a trick and you don't like it and you perceive it's bad because of X, Y, Z, then anybody else that's supporting that creator, they're yes men. Is that what we're saying here? How is that fair? How is that any different to you? How is that any... There's no difference here. You can't call somebody a yes man because they fucking like a trick. They like a trick. That's fine. They shouldn't be felt to be toxic and delusional and a yes man because they like something that you don't. You don't like it. That's cool. That's great. Just because somebody else likes it, it doesn't make them a prick. It doesn't make them a sycophant. It doesn't make them a yes man because they like it and you don't. Have your opinion. Voice your opinion. Nobody's telling you not to voice your opinion. But don't make other people feel the same about you, because then all that's happening is that those yes men are following you. And they're your yes men. Just have an opinion. Tell everyone about the opinion. Everybody has a different opinion. You might look at something. I've had people turn around to me and say, at Magic Live, I had people say, oh, I really wanted to buy Evoke, but I didn't buy it because I was put off by the 9-hour tutorial. Now, you are saying that a short tutorial is terrible because it shows that they're half-arsing it. I agree. To this guy, he would have preferred a 10-minute tutorial where I just went, this is Evoke, these are the cards, this is how to read them, have fun. That would have been better for him. Everybody has a different opinion. Calling somebody delusional, calling somebody toxic, and telling somebody they're a yes man just because their opinion is different to your opinion is not fair. I'm sorry if you think I'm out of line here, but I agree with you in many points, but that is something that you're never going to have me agree with you about. Okay, I just need to say that there's like 7 or 8 comments from people that are saying experience days would be a good idea and it would be a really cool thing to come in and spend the day with me and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. That's something I'm going to start looking into in September. So you are going to see something like that come together. So watch this space because it is something that's going to happen. Okay, so the next question is from Manny the Magnificent, who says, hi Craig, me and my dad met you in Ryland a few months ago in Horsham, and you did some amazing magic for us. I told you I was getting into magic, and soon I actually have my first major public performance. Any tips? Thanks. Yeah. If you're going to do your first ever public performance, make sure that you know that material inside out, back to front, and left way sideways. And don't make your first major magic performance your first ever performance. Organize some friends around for a garden party and perform it to a few friends. Then get some different friends to come over. Then get some family to come over. Look for every opportunity you can to perform that set to as many people as possible. Because I've said it before on this channel, I'll say it again, there is no substitute for flight time. There really is no substitute to flight time. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. And you need to know this material inside out, back to front, and left way sideways. And also, if it's a stage performance, which I think it is, or it's a performance to a big group of people, make sure that when you're rehearsing it, you rehearse it as a whole. Because a lot of the mistakes that people make are transitioning in between effects. You see people go, right, I'm going to do this trick, and they do this trick because they've rehearsed it, and then it's kind of like standing there looking lost until they do the next trick. The transitions between tricks are just as important as rehearsing the tricks themselves. Doing the whole thing, setting the props out. You don't want to look lost. You don't want to be in a situation where you're standing on stage and you don't know where to get your prop from, because little things like that matter. Knowing where to stand, knowing your mark, planting your feet, looking straight on at the audience, not shuffling around, walking with purpose. All of these things are really important, and this is the stuff that you need to practice leading up to that first major performance. Don't worry so much about the magic. You've got that. The important stuff is performing it and standing there and making sure that you look professional on that stage. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give you. And also, good luck, because, you know, making that big leap, that's fantastic. That's something that a lot of people will never do. There's a lot of people that come into magic and will never perform ever their entire time they're in magic, and you're doing that. So you are in an elite group right there, and you've got the guts and the fortitude to go out there and do it. That's fantastic. So my hat's off to you, my invisible hat's off to you. Just go out and have fun. Okay, so the next question is from Benoit P, who says, "Hi Craig, do you know where I can find the mesh coin bags for your Attack of the Bag trick that came out many years ago, or do you plan on putting it out again? I tried to find a suitable mesh coin bag, but it's hard to get the ones I found, and they're not good or strong enough for professional use. Thanks, Ben." Yeah, it's coming back out again. It's coming back out again through Alakazam as part of their elite coin range. We're aiming for August. I'm going over in September to film it. The bags have already been ordered. I have updated them and changed them around. They have been produced by hand to my specifications, and the project is going to be mammoth. It's going to cover everything that was in Attack of the Bag, everything that was in Return of the Bag, and also a metric ton of new material as well. It's going to be epic. So look out for it. It's an Alakazam release. It's going to be part of their elite coin range, and I could see it happening. We're aiming for Christmas, I think. That's when we're hoping to have it out. And it's going to be more than just a bag that comes with it as well. You're going to get a bunch of other stuff as well. So look out for that, but it'll be part of their elite coin range, and there have been a million questions asking about the bag stuff, so yes, it is coming back. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Devereaux, who says, "Hi Craig, hope you're very well and your family. What do you think about these YouTube videos that are exposing the latest products and getting millions of views? Thanks." I think they're terrible, I think they're disgusting, and I have more to say about this. And while I'm in Columbus, I am going to be filming a video, and I'm going to be uploading it as soon as I can. Something happened at Magic Live that made me kind of push this video from an urgency point of view right up the scale. And I want to tell you what I think about people like Rick Lax. I want to tell you what I think about people like Murray. I want to tell you what I think about people like Dan Rhodes. I want to tell you what I think about the people that are going out there and exposing the brand new tricks because they haven't got a creative bone in their body, and they don't care about this industry, and all they care about is money. All they care about is, they don't care about elevating the art. They don't care about making magic better. They don't care about anything other than when they're going to get their next paycheck. Let's be clear, let's be honest, and let's be absolutely honest with ourselves. These people go out there for one reason and one reason only. They make these exposure videos because they are talentless hacks who haven't got the ability to go out and build a successful career as a performer. And so what they do is they go out and they try to take a shortcut. They take a shortcut and they go out and they make these little fucking videos with their little fucking exposure videos, showing how tricks are done that professionals are going out and making a living doing, and they do it to get a paycheck, and it's disgusting. I've got a lot to say on this, and I am going to be speaking about this very, very soon. Okay, so the next question is from Roger Grant, who says, "How do you find time to sleep and be with your family?" Kind of look back at the previous question about time management. I'm doing a video soon about time management, and I think it's something that a lot of people will hopefully want to hear about, but I have plenty of time with my family. I just need to make sure that I'm organized. Okay, so the next question is from Elkie, who says, "Hi Craig, recently a friend asked me about performing in a show she's putting on in a few months' time. In the past, this was something I was incredibly excited to do, but for the past couple of months, I haven't been involved in magic at all due to life and health circumstances, and I'm worried about my ability to give a good performance if that passion doesn't come back. Should I take the opportunity and hope I can get back into the swing of things, or wait and see if I'm in a better place next time round? Thank you very much." Well, that's a great question. And really, it's a question that only you can answer. I mean, from a health point of view, Performing on stage, especially if you haven't done anything for a few months, is a very stressful situation. The most important thing is your health. If doing this show is going to negatively impact your health, I think you've got the answer straight away. That's the most important thing. But in terms of getting your mojo back, if the health thing isn't on the table and you're wanting to get your mojo back, if you do want to get back into magic, because some people just drop out, they love it, but you know, not everything lasts forever. I've got a friend of mine who was so passionate about collecting like movie memorabilia and had an entire room in their house dedicated to posters and fit all in boxes and stuff. Spent like the best part of 20 years collecting movie memorabilia. And then one day I saw them and they were like, yeah, we sold everything. I'm just done. I'm done. I've finished. Oh, was it a money thing? No, it wasn't a money thing. I just didn't want to do it anymore. You know, sometimes people fall out of love with something. They've done it a long time. They fall out of love with it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Interests come and go, you know, and that's fine. So if you don't want to get back into magic, then don't. Only you know how you feel. When you think about magic this last couple of months that you've not done anything, has it made you upset? Oh, I wish I was doing magic. Or did you have an overwhelming sense of relief that you're not having to worry about that anymore? Because that should really guide you in your decision in terms of where you want to be with this. Do you feel like you want to come back? Do you feel that you want to get your mojo back? Because if you do, then this is probably a great opportunity to do that because it's going to give you a time frame. I love working with time frames. From a time management point of view, I love working with time frames because if I turn around to myself and I go, right, okay, it's why a lot of the time I like running and doing competitions because it gives us a point in time where we have to have something done by. You know, the Harry Potter act that he's doing literally all over the world at the moment, that was put together for the Family Entertainer of the Year. I can tell you right now, if he wasn't doing the Family Entertainer of the Year, that act would not have been ready. We made it ready because we had a point where we knew he had to perform it. So having reasons to do something is good, and this might help you get your mojo back if you want to and if your health is good enough. So you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. How is your health? Are you feeling okay? Will this negatively impact your health? And if you are okay, do you want to get back into magic? Do you want to get your mojo back, or are you happy with where you are? Okay, so the next question is from Spooky Kid, who says, Grandma's Miracle, you reviewed this and said you'd use it in your act. Has it been working for you? Have you had good reactions? Are you still using it? Is it strong enough to be a walk-around opener, or is it best suited for a table, like a wedding or a restaurant? Please elaborate if you can, especially how and when you use it and how to get the best reactions with it. I've been using it in a walk-around situation. I find it perfect for walk-around. I've not really done it in tables, although I'm pretty sure it would work with tables. But for me, the way I've been doing it is walk around. I've been using an awful lot, not as an opener, not as a closer, but one of those middle effects, and it gets a great reaction. It's a wonderful way to transition from one prop to another prop. And yeah, I mean, I love the fact that the magic happens in the hands of the spectator. I've got a really nice presentation for it now that I'm very, very happy with, and I love performing it. So yeah, I think it's really strong. I think it's one of the better tricks that's come out in the last few years, and it's one of TCC's best props ever, in my opinion. So yeah, I do it. I love it. It's great for walk around. Never done it in a table situation, but I think it could work really well. Okay, so the next question is from Handstand221, who says, first, I want to express my gratitude for introducing me to Mnemonica. I finally feel confident enough to use it in performance. One method that really helped me learn the stack was your suggestion of writing the number on each card in the back. I have several of these decks around my house and for practice. My question is, do you have any ideas for card tricks I could perform using these numbered decks? Secondly, do you know any resources for the Mnemonica stack without sleights? I already own Forecast and Mnemonica by Juan Tamariz. So first of all, if you own Forecast, you'll know that there's a trick in there involving numbers on the back of cards. Go and look at that if you haven't seen it, because that is the perfect use for those decks. In terms of routines without sleights, I would look into Workers Number 5 by Michael Close. Some of the routines have sleights, but some don't. I would also look into, and here's my big tip, I would look into the Buena Vista Shuffle Club, which is my favorite book on mem deck magic and just absolutely phenomenal. So look into the Buena Vista Shuffle Club, look into Workers Number 5, look into, I think it's called Order to Amaze, I think, by Pitt Hartling. and that's a great book as well, especially the quartet system. He teaches you with no slights how you can actually get a 4 of a kind from a deck by memorizing a little bit more. But if you've already memorized the deck, this is a little bit extra to memorize, but it actually makes things, it opens up a lot more doors, because a lot of the time the magic you do with a mem deck isn't necessarily visual, but this is, you know, the stuff that you can do with this is very visual. And I think that's Order to Amaze by Pitt Hartling. Those but start with the Buena Vista Shuffle Club for sure. Start with the Buena Vista Shuffle Club. Then maybe work as number 5. Then Order to Amaze. Those are probably your best resources to go to, and they're the ones that I would suggest next. Okay, so the next question is from Kevin Swizz, who says, "Hi Craig, first of all, I'm a member of the Netrix. Can't thank you enough for that website. I've learned so much from Magic TV and the Netrix. Thank you very much. I think you've answered my question like this before, but I need to ask it again. I'm an American going to be in London for a few days with no plans before going to golf in another part of England. I want to take a day to go to the Alakazam shop just so I can see where I can get so much from. How far away is it time-wise and best there? I know you said there's a place with a lot of magic buskers. Where is that? Any advice on seeing the Magic Circle? I'm a member of the IBM, SAM, and the Chicago Magic Roundtable, if that has a pull. Any other places or things to see in your opinion?" Boom, yeah, so Covent Garden is where you're going to see all the buskers. Go to Magic Corner and you're going to see multiple shows in a day. There's also a really cool little sort of magic stand there that's fun to go and see. The Magic Cavern, I think it's called. The Magic Circle, you can, if you're there on a Monday and you can get a member to invite you, you know anyone that's in the Magic Circle, you can go along on a club day. And I would happily bring you in, no problem, absolutely fine. If you're there on a weekend, they do shows every Saturday and they do close-up shows every Friday, and you can get those tickets on the Magic Circle website. To get to Alakazam, it's about a 30 to 50 minute train ride direct to Ashford, and then a 5-minute taxi straight to Alakazam. And it's definitely worth checking out Alakazam. If you've got some free time and you want to go to Hamleys, you can go and see Marvin's Magic and the demonstrators there. That's always worth going if you've got a bit of time. And I think by then, by September, Assy Wynn's show is going to be up and running. So you could go and check out Assy Wynn's show as well, because that's really fun. Yeah, and have a lot of fun with it, really do. I'm at Alakazam at the beginning. If you go to Alakazam on the 4th, I think I'm there. I'm at Alakazam on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So if you're at Alakazam on the 4th, I'll be there as well filming some stuff. So maybe I'll see you there, but have fun in England. Okay, so the next question is from Archie Cox Magic, who says, "You mentioned on Christmas cards there'll be a version of Monsters with regular films and also a new Christmas trick for this year on your 2024 release schedule. You didn't mention either of these. Are they still coming?" Yes, the Christmas trick is due to be filmed in September. It's awesome, and it's based off something that's coming out in September. And yes, the version of Monsters, but with regular films, is coming, but it's probably going to be 2025. So it's probably going to be next year. I've got the prototypes, but I'm working on new routines at the moment. And as soon as I've got those new routines nailed, then that will be filmed. So we're looking really the beginning part of next year for that. But yes, there will be a Christmas trick. Okay, so the next question from Archie Cox Magic says, "Now that the Infinity deck is out, are you going to do a video on photo decks?" Yes, 100% I'm going to do a video on photo decks. I love photo decks. There's so many, and I'm going to do a video talking about all of my favorite photo decks. Yes, that is happening. It's going to be September because my schedule is a bit busy in August, but that is something that I'm 100% going to do. Okay, we've got one more question from Archie Cox, who says, "I plan on doing tossed out deck with the Infinity deck, but wondered if people may think of something different for person, as they may think forest or party instead of person. What can I do to make sure this works 100% of the time?" I understand where you're coming from. I honestly don't think it's an issue. However, the way around that is if you are concerned, because when you're doing the tossed out deck routine, you're talking about the general look of the image, you're not describing the exact image. But if that's an issue for you, if you're using it for tossed out deck, you're probably not going to be using it for anything else in that performance other than tossed out deck. So what I would do is I would take out all of the person cards and all of the the non-force cards next to the person card. So you're taking out 14 cards. You're still going to have a whole bunch of cards. You're still going to have like 40 cards, 42 cards, which is slightly less than a full deck. But as this is not a deck of cards, but it's a deck of photos, that will absolutely work brilliantly. And then you've only got 3 images that you need to worry about. So that's something that you can absolutely do, and that would fix any anxiety that you might have with that method. Okay, so the next question is from Ian Walton, who says, "Hi Craig, hope you and your family are well. You deserve all the hype and the highest rating. People often refer to magic enthusiasts as nerds, but you have dispelled the stigma by being down to earth, passionate, imaginative, and downright hardcore. Thank you very much. Please keep it up." I will. Little question, if I may. Nothing comes close to your extreme range to Alakazam, but I bought Chinese Bit on your recommendation some time back, and I have since purchased a coin unique by Eddie Gibson. Are there any other Eddie Gibson gimmicks that I should consider for my little collection? Many thanks. Yes, and I actually would think this would make a good video. I'm going to do a video on this because Eddie Gibson was a big part of my magical journey, and I think putting a video out talking about some of the cool tricks that Eddie brought out back in the day would be great. And you can still get a lot of Eddie's stuff, as you know, but I would say kangaroo coins. If you're looking for the next one on the list to go and find, kangaroo coins. It was really cool. It was with 20 pences with little brass caps over them, and there was like a 3-card Monty with coins. It was insane, but it was really good and way ahead of its time. So go and look at that. That should be your next port of call. Okay, so the next question is from Different Magician. I was booked for a wedding from 3 till 5, but everybody was at a church before they came to the wedding venue, meaning everyone arrived 40 minutes late. If this happened to you, would you have continued till 5:40 or just stopped at 5 anyway? Is the correct attitude for this that paid me for 2 hours, so I should do 2 hours, or if it's not my problem if they came late? It's down to the individual. We put in our contract that we are contracted to perform at the time that they say, and if things are running late, it's beyond our. It's something that unfortunately we can't help with. It's in the contract in case I've got like 2 or 3 gigs on that day. If I've only got 1 gig that day, and it's the situation that you said, 3 till 5, and everything's running late, and I've got nowhere else to be and nothing else to do, I will just push it back 2 hours late, because the client's going to love me for that. They're gonna, they're gonna leave a review saying how amazing I was. I was accommodating for their needs. I was able to, change things around to help them. It's going to generate great word of mouth. I don't mind just sitting in the bar and just, waiting. I haven't got a problem with that at all. So if it was me and I didn't have anything else on, I would just wait around and do the 2 hours when people are there. If, however, I've got another gig on and I've got to race away at 5 o'clock, I would say that to the client. I'd say, hey, I'm sorry things are running late. I can stick around a few extra minutes, but I am having to rush off because I do have another gig on the other side of town. But I'll try and do I'll race around and get everybody done for you. And that's kind of the route that I take. It's very much dependent on what I've got going on there. Okay, next question from Different Magician. What's the best way to contact Richard Sanders? I tried through his website but didn't get a response. It's to have a request for TV rights for priceless. I would try him on social media. He's quite active on Facebook. So if you send him a friend request on Facebook and a message, then he will probably reply to that. So I would say send him a message on Facebook. Okay, so there you go. That's another Q&A in the bag. Once again, thank you guys for joining me right here on Magic TV. So sorry I've not been in the studio. I promise that things will be getting back to normal very, very soon. When exactly, I'm not too sure because my schedule continues to be nuts, but I'm going to try to the best of my ability. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please, 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 if you haven't done so, consider joining the Netrix. It's my online streaming platform for magicians, and it gets bigger and bigger every single day. Just go to www.thenetrix.com and go and get access immediately. And finally, don't forget to make sure that you check out the Talk Magic from yesterday. Go check out the review show special tonight. I have batched a lot of these so that I know they're going out regardless of where I am in the world. So I will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have a great Sunday. My name's Craig from Magic TV.